Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Start Your Day Great, Start Your Day with a Coach. I am your certified high performance coach, Sean Butner, and today we're talking about your self critic. Is it helping you or hurting your performance? And it's such an important question to ask yourself because, so often, you know, we want to be excellent, we want to push ourselves, we want to, have a better lives for ourselves and for our families and for the people that we love and our organizations and communities. And sometimes we just are so hard on ourselves. Isn't that true that sometimes, because you haven't reached that certain point in your life quite yet, isn't it true that sometimes when we see friends or former people from high school succeeding more than we are, that we feel bad about ourselves? And then if we're too critical on ourselves, we're actually we go from that critiquing into coping, right? So we're trying to, cope with being lonely during the pandemic. We're trying to cope with, X, Y, and Z. We're trying to cope with grief. We're trying to cope with all these things that lead us to distraction, right? So have you been in distraction for too long? Have you really been struggling with, getting back on track, advancing the things that are super important to you in your life, and your family's lives, and again, your organization? So I have a couple of things to help you kind of self-diagnose if that critic is worthy of stress it's putting on you and causing you to level up, or if it's dragging you down. Okay? So the first question I have for you is it really high standards, or is it just beating yourself up? Right? I think sometimes we go into that default mode, and maybe you've been there where you're like, oh, I didn't accomplish that project on time, or things didn't work out the way that I wanted to. It must be me. It must be something wrong with me inherently, with the way I grew up, with the relationships I'm in, and the environment that I'm in. But at the end of the day, beating yourself up in that way, where you're saying it's a problem with you, probably isn't serving you, right? So if that's you, or if you've ever had that feeling, how are you beating yourself up in that particular way, and how can you get out of it, right? We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but just recognizing that happens sometimes, that you'll beat yourself up, can be super, super impactful. Okay, so second thing is when you find yourself being super self-critical or unkind to yourself, what's the outcome? Is it distraction, or is it productivity? Is it, feeling bad about yourself? Is it doubling your resolve to get things done, to change things, to get into action and move forward, right? This is a really good distinction that can help kick you out of being overly self-critical in a way that's not helpful. So, really, like for me, like I know that, I cope with like movies, I cope with video games, and so every once in a while it's not a big problem. When it's continually interrupting or preventing me or distracting me from doing what I need to get done in my business, that's when I know it's a problem. That's when I know that, oh, I wanted to have this, I had this idea that I was going after, it didn't work out. I'm feeling discouraged now. I've been working really hard on this for years and years and years and years. It's not working out the way that I want. So let's distract myself from those feelings instead of doubling down and saying like, okay, I can really figure this out. I can really change, So that's that question. Like, what is the outcome? So third question is, is the self-criticism, is that harshness you have on yourself worthy of the stress it's causing on you? And I love this question. And we got it from the Stoics, right? I think it was Seneca, that was talking about, being worthy, only accepting ridicule that was worthy of being ridiculed. And so it's kind of the same idea of, is the critique about yourself helpful in you changing, in you growing, in you pushing through some discomfort, or is it stopping you in your tracks, right? And so many times with clients and with myself, with people I know, they're so hard on themselves for no reason, right? It's almost like, they enjoy inflicting that pain on themselves of they're not worthy enough, I'm not experienced enough, I can't do this, I'm not ready for this, or all those types of questions. Really, it's like, who cares if you're ready or not? What really matters is that you're in action, that you're doing, that you're making things happen, that you're learning, that you're growing. And so that's the other side of the coin, right? And so many people in personal development will say that you got to love yourself and you have to be kind to yourself. And that's 100% true. But it's more so like, let's get over that question and really get to the question of like, is that self-critic saying something that's worthy of you listening, right? Because if it's not, then, why are you listening to it? I think that line of questioning helps get people unstuck quite a bit when I work with them. And then finally, like, how long are you going to beat yourself up for, right? So say it is a worthy criticism that you forgot to go to that birthday party from that friend from 5 years ago. How long are you going to beat yourself up about it? Is it going to be a day? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month? How much beating up on yourself is long enough for you to finally be like, okay, I'm done. I can do something different. I'm not going to have that happen again. I've learned from this. I'm growing and things of that sort. So those are the 4 questions again. So remember, is it a high standard for yourself, or is it just you beating up on yourself? What is the outcome of this self-criticism? Is it distraction, or is it firing you up to be productive? Is the criticism worthy of the stress? Again, is it serving you to change, to grow, to progress, to move forward? And then how long are you going to beat yourself up for, right? So what's the relative time scale for that before you can give that up? And I find those 4 questions tend to shake people out of most self-criticism. And it's, again, if you're like, oh, I did this and now it didn't work and there's something wrong with me, and you get into that feed loop, just take a breath. These things take a lot of work trying to overcome. So if that's you, I'm cheering you on. If you need any help, you can always book a strategy session at SeanButler.com with me, where we can work through that together one-on-one. Sometimes you need an extra person saying like, no, you're too hard on yourself. Take a breath. Let's have a couple of new strategies for you moving forward. I'd love to offer that for you. So just go to SeanButler.com/book, and you can get qualified and apply for a strategy session with me. Otherwise, if you like this video, do the social media thing, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you have a question. I'd love to answer any questions you guys have. And that said, go out there, live with more joy, more personal growth, and more impact in your communities today. This is Sean Butner signing off.